Welcome to What to Do When, a podcast from real lawyers with real perspective, where we explore a variety of legal issues and scenarios. Each week, we focus on a new topic and discuss what to do when and if any of these legal scenarios ever happen to you or a loved one. With over 40 years of combined legal experience, our hosts offer their unique perspectives and insights on a range of real-life legal situations.
Hey, welcome back to another podcast at Critzer Cardani in Richmond, Virginia. I'm Jackie.
I'm Scott. I'm sorry, I almost died there, Jackie. What's on the docket for today?
What to do when stealing is your jam.
What do you mean, like peanut butter and jelly jam? Or
Sort of.
Okay.
Yep.
So, folks, we wanted to cover this today because actually there's been a real increase in these little thefts crimes, especially shoplifting. But, you know, most people don't know what it is. And again, I think we always have to start at the beginning with this.
I think that's great. What is shoplifting?
Yeah. Actually, before that.
Okay.
I think.
Oh, even
Let
before.
me go there. This includes your juvenile, your child, your son and daughter, all those things, because there's a lot of crimes. And so we have taught and been taught every time in our society that you tell the truth.
Of course.
You know, and you know.
Which isn't bad. You should tell the truth.
You should tell the truth.
Okay.
My caveat, though, is when it becomes a crime, you don't have to incriminate yourself. So you don't have to tell on yourself.
Right.
When there's a crime involved. And we talk about this all the time, and people probably think I'm crazy. I'm a parent. I always want my kid to tell the truth and be honest and have integrity. You're not, I would call this delayed integrity. It might be the way to answer it. At that moment, your child, especially juvenile, isn't smart enough to answer the questions they're asking them. Most adults aren't smart enough to answer the questions they're asking them. Sometimes I think I'm not smart enough to answer the questions they're asking.
Well, so really what you're saying is, just like we have in I don't know, 10 other podcasts, maybe more, speeding, getting pulled over, any encounter with authority or the police is you do need to have integrity, and it is perfectly okay to say, I'm not comfortable answering your questions without my parents or without my lawyer. That is okay to say to all authority figures, including police. And that really is what you're talking about.
You have the right to remain silent. And anything you say can and will be used against you.
Okay.
That's the simple. But I wanted to start there because you don't understand how important that is. Most of the time in a case, I can do so much more when you haven't spoken first. So I'll leave it there. Okay. Let's start. What's shoplifting? Shoplifting is when you go into Target, Walmart, gyms, I don't care where it is.
7-Eleven.
And you go in and you take an item and you walk out of the store without paying is shoplifting.
Okay. Does it matter the price tag, like the value of the thing you're stealing? Does that change shoplifting to something else?
Yeah. Shoplifting, it's under $500. A misdemeanor over $500 is a felony.
I thought it was $200.
They just changed it.
Oh, see, it's important to know your rights.
But anyways,
know your charges.
Here's one, Jackie. Say I'm in Target and I'm back in the back and there's a bunch of headphones. Let's just say I'm looking at getting new headphones because these are jank. But anyways, we're getting headphones and there's you can get headphones for $15
or $500
or $500. So what happens if I just take off the sticker here for $15 and put it over top of the $499 sticker?
Well, first of all, that would be very silly, but also illegal, right? I mean, you can't do that. Yeah, unfortunately, or fortunately, yes.
So again,
price changing is illegal.
You're going up to the counter and you're paying $15 for a $400 item. That's shoplifting. You're shoplifting the difference, basically.
Sure.
So, I mean, you're walking out of the store knowingly. I mean, you have to have knowingly done it. Obviously, if somebody else changed the sticker before you got there and you didn't know it, you thought it was the deal of the century. Most of the time, deals of the century are never deals of the century. So you might want to check because you don't want to go to jail over something stupid you didn't do.
Well, I'll tell you that if you take the $14.99 headphones or the sticker from that, and you're carrying out your $500 headphones up to the cashier, you're going to be the one suspected of doing the sticker change, not the person before you, whether it was your cousin or someone you didn't even know, or you never even knew what happened. They're going to suspect that you're the one who did that, and they're going to try, look at the tapes and do all the things. So be wise about it as well, but sticker changing.
Yeah, and let me say this too. For a while there, we were getting away from, I think, from shoplifting. I mean, you saw the media. Everybody was allowed to walk in places, walk out, and all this kind of
looting
crazy.
And the looting
was going on. Shoplifting. Looting is shoplifting when you walk into a store. Anyways, don't want to get down that road. But now it seems like there's just been this resurgence of people tightening up again. So be on your P's and Q's. Most of the people who shoplift have the money in their pocket to pay for it.
Well, can we talk about self-checkout?
Yeah, big time, yeah.
So I like to do self-checkout at Walmart. I like to do self-checkout at Target. Sometimes I do it at the grocery store. There's a neighborhood Walmart market in Hanover that I love. And almost every register is self-checkout. And I think it's great. But I've always wondered, how do they really monitor the shrinkage or the shoplifting? Well, they do, right? They have cameras above you, around you. They're watching.
Coming through the scanner itself, usually. I mean, they're everywhere. I mean, so I've had a lot of those cases where, you're bumping through, you pick let's just say I got a pen and my microphone's, my microphone's the scanner. What people do will go like this. They'll shifty, they'll pull one under and one over or this way or whatever. And it's right there, and then they put it in their bag and walk out the store. They've just shoplifted.
Right.
Again. So, scanners are scary to me, even though I don't like shelf checkout because I figure I pay the store to go there and they should check out. But that's just me. But anyways, and the reason I don't like it, though, more than that, is of that reason. What if I make a mistake? What if I forget something in the bottom of my cart? What if it really does. It freaks me out because I don't have any intention of stealing when I go up there. So I'm like, I'm very careful. But still, sometimes you can be very careful. Like maybe you put your purse on top of a very small item and didn't lift it up and didn't think about it, or your kid threw something in the cart you didn't see, and it's just a scary proposition for me. But
so it's interesting that you point that out because I have, with my kids in tow, gone to the grocery store, run the cart through the register and then paid and out the door we go, and into the car go all the groceries. And that exact scenario has happened where I find a thing that I know I didn't hand over to the cash register, or I know I didn't give to the cashier or run through the register. And the very first thing I do is take that item and my receipt and my wallet and my children with me back inside. I would have never been caught, right? Nobody was coming after me. They weren't calling the police, but my integrity is not for sale. I didn't get one over on the store, right? This is so important in how we model behaviors for our children, because the flip side of that, right? Let's look at what would have happened had I sent, oh, well, no big deal. They didn't catch us. Let's just go. What message am I modeling for my children?
What a good concept. Yeah. I mean, it is true, man. We don't think about those things. And and there's a lot of times where people make mistakes. And, the other day I was in the store, there was $1 on the floor, and I gave it to the register lady, and she's like, it's $1. I don't think anybody's missing it. And I know. I said, but maybe somebody is. Maybe that's their last $1.
I was at the Walmart out by my house. This has been a few months ago, and I had one of our teenagers with me. And I went to a self-checkout. It was one of the newer ones. And, the cash return where, like, if you put in $20 and you get some change back, there was money just sitting there. And I just kind of looked around and I took the money. It was $16. Not a huge amount of money, but it wasn't my $16. Yeah. It didn't belong to me. And so I found the closest person and I said, hey, I don't know if somebody's going to come back for this. I just want you to know that this money, maybe he pocketed it. That's on him. It's not on me. But again, I'm modeling this behavior for my children and other people. But I do have a question. What happens? What if I kept that money? Is that a crime?
Ooh, I would say it's abandoned. I could go down a road with that, but
that's not really what we're talking about for shoplifting.
But I mean, I get what you're saying. But again, we want to model good integrity. The other kind of shoplifting that happens a lot that I see is clothing stores. You go into a clothing store, you have something on, and you just put stuff underneath your clothes and try to walk out. That happens all the time.
It's a crime.
It's a crime. It's called shoplifting. Your juvenile needs to be told, hey, you can't do this. And again, a lot of kids do stealing for the thrill of the chase. I don't know what it is. There's something to it that gets really weird. And there's this high sort of that they get for stealing. But, this affects college applications, jobs. Stealing is one of those crimes that's
Moral turpitude.
Ooh, there it is, the moral turpitude crime. So it's the one that everybody asks about. Have you ever been caught of lying, cheating, or stealing?
Well, why does that matter? What does a crime of moral turpitude matter versus speeding or...
Well, you tell me. If we're hiring somebody, Critzer Cardani, they answer the phones, and we have somebody comes in and has a reckless driving and a stealing charge, who are we going to hire?
Well, I can tell you who I'm not going to hire. I'm not going to hire the person who's been convicted of a crime of moral turpitude for a lot of reasons, but not the least of which is, right, they're going to be dealing with our clients. They're going to be dealing with cash money. And most places, if you're at a bank, if you're at a store, if you are dealing with cash money at all, and you have a stealing conviction on your record, you're not likely to last long. That brings me to my next question. Is it different for a juvenile or a person under the age of 18 when they are caught stealing and charged with shoplifting? Are the consequences the same or different as 18 and over?
It's the exact same crime.
Okay.
Remember, in Virginia, it's called, if you're under 18, it's a crime that would be a misdemeanor or felony if you were an adult. But that kind of thing is kind of rolled a lot, played out a little bit. But still, I still believe that, still use that. But most of the time, it's a first offense on both sides of the coin. You're going to get a chance to rehabilitate, so to speak, and maybe have this off your record. Juveniles are much softer treated, I would say, than adults. But that kind of plays into it, the circumstances of what happened, why it happened, all those kind of things.
Well, there are some non-judicial system consequences when you are found guilty of stealing as well, right? Like you are banned from...
Oh, yeah.
Usually I've seen these cases where it's not you're banned from that target, you're banned from all targets everywhere.
Yeah, you said the corporate stores ask you to be banned from all. Mm-hmm. And, do they have facial recognition software when they walk in the door? Probably. Are they going to catch you if you're in Tennessee going into Target? Probably not, but it's not worth it.
It's not worth it. It does hover. What about this? If you've got a crime on your juvenile record, you stole a candy bar from 7-Eleven, or you went to Wawa and you ordered a sandwich and you left without paying for it, still shoplifting. Yep. Does that stay? Is that something that when you're older, somebody could find on your record?
Yeah, it just depends anymore. I mean, I would say technically yes, but juvenile records are supposed to be destroyed every 5 years, all these kind of things. So, it depends how old you are when it happens. It depends on the circumstances. And pretty much with the new advent of the internet and where with AI and all that, they can find anything. So I would say once you get busted, you're busted and it's going to be there. But I don't think most people care what you did when you're 12 years old.
So first things first, what to do when shoplifting is your jam? Let's make it not your jam. Let's stop with the shoplifting. Okay, let's get away from that. But then shut your mouth. Yeah. Right? You have the right to remain silent. Use that right. Execute that right.
And again, this is not about you lying. This is about exercising your constitutional right not to incriminate yourself and not get yourself in more trouble than you might already be in. So, let's use the phrase. There's a couple phrases. With all due respect, officer or shoplifter person, I'm not going to answer that question at this time. On advice of counsel, I'm not going to answer that question. Something like that. Just be polite. You don't want to get into this thing where you've been rude. I don't have to answer anything. Just be polite. With all due respect, I'm not going to answer that. Thanks.
Right. And then call an attorney. Get somebody on the phone who can help you, and not, we say it a lot, but you don't need a business formation attorney to handle your shoplifting. You need a criminal defense attorney to handle your shoplifting. And if you have a juvenile, you've got a young person in your home, a teenager who's been accused of shoplifting, you really ought to find somebody like Scott or even Will here in our office at Critzer Cardani that focuses on juvenile criminal defense. It is handled differently. The court process is a little bit different, and sometimes the consequences can be worked out a little differently when you're dealing in the juvenile court world versus in the adult court world.
And just remember, everybody will say, well, just tell me what happened and you'll be okay for you. That's not good advice. So anyways, we love this topic. We love to help you all. You're juvenile, you're adult. People make mistakes. And I do think sometimes impulse control can be a tricky thing for some people. You end up doing something stupid and you're like, what did I just do? There was no reason to do that. Come to us. Let us get you help. Let's get you pointed in the right direction. All courts handle these differently. There's some kinds you can do stuff prior, like some community service. Sometimes you can't. You just need to know those rules of the road and try to figure that out so you can have the best result possible, which is the best result is to keep it off your record.
Thanks for watching and listening today. Like and subscribe.
Thank you. Have a good day.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of What to Do When. For more episodes, be sure to subscribe to our podcast, and we encourage you to check our archives to listen to previous topics. Tune in next week for a new episode and some fresh perspective from Critzer Cardani.